What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We're here with some more DraftKings NFL best ball strategy, and average draft position has changed a lot since the last time we released a best ball video here on the channel. So in today's video, our best ball experts Chuck and Chris analyze all of the biggest ADP movers and what it means for your final best ball drafts this season. Big shout out to DraftKings for sponsoring this video series. We have 3 that we are dropping this week. This is the first, so let's kick it over to Chuck and Chris.
Fellas, welcome back. It's been about a month since we've talked. We have a lot of changes in the ADP landscape. That's going to be the main point of our video today. We have a few preseason games under our belt, so we have some more information. We have a lot of information from training camp. We have some season-ending injuries, unfortunately. We'll get into that. Chris, what are you looking forward to talking about today?
Well, Chuck, we're going to be looking at some of the biggest moves in average draft position as we wind down the summer here and get ready for football season to kick off in a couple of weeks. Just to be super clear here with everybody, we're recording this on Saturday, August 22nd, so we're in the middle of the final batch of preseason week 2 games. So, we're hoping to get through another day clean without any injuries in the league for the sake of obviously all the players involved first and foremost, but then of course our entries that we're trying to build here today. And what we wanted to talk about was players that have moved a lot in ADP since we began our discussions preparing for football season here on DraftKings. Chuck, I'm looking at our best ball ADP tracker here on OccupyFantasy.com. This is one of our free draft resources that we have on the website for anyone to access. And some interesting names at the top of the list here that have had the biggest, increase in price, that have seen the biggest increase in sentiment. Running back Marshawn Lloyd with Green Bay. We got wide receiver Stephon Diggs with the Washington Commanders, finally signing a deal there. And then a pair of San Francisco 49ers. Deebo Samuel also signing a deal with the 49ers, rejoining his old team. And then this is probably the surprise of the summer, second-round pick DeJon Stribling as well.
Yeah, when I saw him go, he went above pick 100, like 97 or something the other day. I was shocked. But I think it's a little bit too high of a price for me to pay. We were loading up on him when he was in the 140s and beyond, but I mean, he's just moving up so much. He's still got to be a good pick, but I expect that ADP to keep going up as we get closer to the season. So if you want shares of Stribling, you should probably draft him this week.
He was being drafted in like the 220s when we were doing early bird contest stuff, Chuck. Just absolutely unreal, the rise that we've seen there. We've got the 4th overall pick here. We're going to be drafting in the $20 million Millionaire contest here on DraftKings, awarding $3 million to first place. And so, as always, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that football season is right around the corner, and DraftKings is bringing you their biggest best ball contest ever. We're talking a massive $20 million in total prizes, making this the largest best ball tournament in DraftKings history. This year, not just 1, but 3 players will walk away as millionaires. Right now, our partners at DraftKings are giving all customers a can't-miss offer. Draft 1, get 1. Enter a lineup in the $20 million best ball contest for just $25, and you will receive a bonus best ball ticket to play again for a share of $20 million, giving you a second shot to be crowned a millionaire. It's simple. Just draft your team once, no weekly management required, and let your top scorers automatically start each week. All season long, every breakout star, every clutch play, and every touchdown counts towards your shot at a share of $20 million. So download the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app and enter a lineup in the $20 million best ball contest for just $25 to get a bonus ticket to play for another shot to win big. That's 2 shots without ever setting your lineup again in DraftKings' biggest best ball contest ever. Draft 1, get 1, only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. And Chuck, I think the crown for me is probably looking like Puka Nacua here if we just go with ADP here in the first round.
I don't think I've gotten to draft Puka Nacua one time since we last filmed videos, and I've done quite a few drafts. I'm not ending up at that pick slot. And like I mentioned, I'm still mostly just taking whoever's available in the first round, but I am trying to make sure I get a little bit more even exposures to all these first rounders.
Yeah, similar for me. I have not really had a ton of picks in the first part of the draft board. I've been getting a lot of like 7th, 8th, 9th picks. So this is actually a refreshing start for me, get a little bit of a different look at the draft board. And we're definitely winding down, doing our last few drafts of the summer. Football season just 3 weeks away here, Chuck. So I I kind of go back and forth on whether or not I want to get more exposure to guys I don't have as much of, or if I just want to lean and press the edges that I think I have. And I think the latter is kind of where I'm leaning. I've been a little bit wishy-washy on this, I think, this summer in general, but I think I've come back around on being willing to be like 3 and 4 times the field on players I think are going to have good years here.
Yeah, I'm kind of that way too. I'm not gonna get in as many drafts as I have in the past few years, like 700. I'm not gonna get close to that this year, and so I am interested in being a little bit more, uh, just a little bit more concise, I guess, in my exposures. I've mentioned I have some ridiculous exposures on a few players on some bad teams, and so I have been consciously trying to not take those guys, and I've been doing pretty well at it. But I think it's okay to have takes. It's good to have takes. There's a lot of players. We talk about getting comfortable drafting when they feel uncomfortable, and I do think there's some players we need to do that with. But just get your guys at the end of the day.
Looking at some of the ADP movers again, really quickly here, as I wait for my next pick to come back to us, Chuck. We got Stribling, a rookie going fairly high, who's seen his average cost go up quite a bit of late. But there's some other rookies on here that are at least worth talking about here in mid to late August. We've got Jacoby Lane with Baltimore. He has seen his ADP go down like 5 rounds, or go up 5 rounds, excuse me. We've got Cyrus Allen and a wide receiver with the Kansas City Chiefs. Caleb Douglas, a wide receiver with the Miami Dolphins. Talk to me about how you're feeling about this group of rookies here. Are there any that you prefer in this group here?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Lane and Allen. So Stribling, I was adding every time I could. I'm not taking him as much anymore because, like I mentioned, I think his price is getting kind of high. But Jacoby Lane and especially Cyrus Allen, it's just so Andy Reid doesn't typically like rookies, right? Maybe we've seen it a little bit more in recent years. I'm thinking Rashi Rice. He gained his trust pretty quickly, but we've heard so much positive talk about Cyrus Allen, and his ADP isn't moving as much as a player like Stribling. And he's linked to Patrick Mahomes, and he could be a top option for him. So he's a player I'm just going to keep adding until the season starts. Jacoby Lane, I'm very interested in, mostly just because of the position he's in, the situation with that receiving core. But I'm still going to be adding him a lot as well. But Cyrus Allen, I think, is like my main late round target right now.
I liked Cyrus Allen a lot when the price was a little bit cheaper. I think I got quote unquote closing line value here, but definitely going to continue to click on him here. I don't think many of us expect Miami's team to be amazing and be like a contender for a playoff spot or a championship this year, but I do think Caleb Douglas is at least interesting, especially if he's going to operate as the number one receiver in that offense. So of that group, he's the one I, of late, have found myself clicking a little bit more personally.
Yeah, I like that. I mentioned in a previous show that we need to find some fantasy producers on Miami because it's really only A Chain, and then I think Malik Washington might actually be the next guy at ADP 150. Like someone's going to score fantasy points there, or I guess Malik Willis goes before Washington, but he's a quarterback. But yeah, taking shots on guys like Caleb Douglas sounds great. Like we kind of know Malik Washington is so-so, but what if Caleb Douglas is great?
I mean, we think we know what Malik Washington is anyway, right? We feel like we pretty much know what a guy like a Jalen Tolbert is going to give us, but a Caleb Douglas, even a Chris Bell coming back from injury, maybe there's a little bit higher ceiling there, and that's kind of how I'm trying to make decisions about some of these players here. At least the rookies we haven't necessarily seen perform just yet. Not necessarily rising in ADP, but just talking preseason a little bit, Chuck. Another player that has caught my eye is Mike Washington, the rookie running back with the Las Vegas Raiders. He has looked awesome in limited work and still a pretty affordable draft pick, I think, here because we think he's going to be second fiddle to Jonty here with the Raiders, but he could be an interesting zero RB pick, if you will.
Yeah, I have almost 20% of him, just contingent value, but he looked really good in the preseason game the other day. He looked like he fit in, so I imagine he could have some value even if John T stays healthy the whole season.
And listen, we're going to go into our final batch of shows here with the same take we've had all spring and summer long. I'm team Trey McBride over Brock Bowers this year, and I'm happy to grab him in the third round when he's there.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm seeing so much hype around Brock Bowers about, oh, if you draft, there was one yesterday, if you draft Brock Bowers in the second round, congrats, you made the playoffs. And it's like, yeah, Brock Bowers is a good pick, but we're Trey McBride. I don't think we have to get into it any more than we already have. I'm interested in you taking George Pickens. Are you mixing it up around there, or is Pickens your guy when you get to that turn?
I was really hammering London for like a lot of June and July, but
Mhm.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm just falling into a trap of kind of buying into how poorly Atlanta has looked in some
Yeah.
of these training camp videos and the reports that are coming out of Falcons training camp here. It feels like it could be tough sledding for the Falcons. So I think I've gone back to, the high upside Cowboys for sure. And I do think looking just at that group in general, Malik Neighbors, George Pickens, Nico Collins, Drake London, Pickens definitely is the one I feel the best about. He feels like he has the safest outcome, but also an extremely high ceiling and a very what we think will be productive Cowboys offense this year.
Yeah, that seems like such a common situation to get in when you have a top four pick and then you're back around the turn, and it's literally those receivers you just mentioned: Neighbors, Pickens, Collins, Drake London. I mean, Olave is always there because he goes later, and Rashi Rice is falling in ADP this week too. But I find myself clicking on Kyron Williams a little more just because I wasn't taking him that much. But I'm leaning into the early running back a little bit more. I'm very light on a lot of them, which I don't want to be. So I'm trying to mix those guys in, and I think Nico Collins has actually emerged as my favorite receiver in that range.
Okay.
You mentioned that Drake London is on a potentially disastrous offense, and I think most of these players in this range are. Pickens isn't, Rice isn't, but Collins, if he has a bounce back year, if CJ Stroud goes back to his rookie year ways, then we might have a nice value on Collins.
Yeah. Speaking of running backs that go fairly early, I've definitely had a blind spot here for really this whole trio of Scatibo, Josh Jacobs, Basil Tootin. I'm really not clicking on those guys at all, really, Chuck.
I think I clicked on Scatterbo for the first time this past week, and I've taken him two or three times since, only because I want a running back in that range, and he's the only one who's typically left there.
Just seems like it's when I have a chance to get the Puka Nakua Devontae Adams combo, I'm going to have to click on it. So that's why I did it in this show, and I've been doing it in all of our off air drafts as well when I can. Look, Rams, I think still projected to be the favorites to win it all again this year. That's got to be a good sign for fantasy as well.
Speaking of Scatterbo, Tyrone Tracy just fumbled in the red zone.
Oh boy.
Um, so we've talked about this running back room a little bit because we're interested in Tracy late. It sounds like Scatterbo is pretty healthy. He's doing backflips on stages and stuff, and it sounds like he's going to play early in the season. They did sign Najee Harris, and I saw a note today that uh, he signed with the idea that he's going to have a big workload. What that means, I don't know. But are we considering drafting Najee? Because I'm even drafting Devin Singletary as a last round desperation pick.
Well, I mean, I think I'm going to have to just go with Scatabo here just because I need something.
I think it's fine.
Sorry, hit me with that again, Chuck. What was the
Just
question?
with Najee Harris signing in New York, are you worried about that? I just got a notification Tyrone Tracy fumbled in the red zone in the preseason game right now.
Yeah, I think it's a legitimate concern for either Tracy or Singletary, right? Like if you're bringing in Harris to compete for a legit role in the regular season, then those two would be the ones that are more likely to suffer, I think, than Scatabo. So that's kind of what I'd be looking for over the next couple of weeks if Harris is able to make some hay there in the Giants' backfield.
Nice. And as far as taking Scatabo here, you got him at pick 52. So he opened this contest at ADP 45, and he's going around 41 and a half right now. And so anytime, like guys like this that I'm very light on, if he's falling 10 picks past ADP, I think you just have to take him to get that exposure. Because if you're not taking him now, then you're literally never taking him.
Yeah, that's exactly kind of the mindset I had there. Not a fan necessarily of the player overall this year, but I'll take him below cost here. Guy went right next to him, Josh Jacobs. Chuck, I
Yeah.
don't think I've clicked on him once. We've seen our biggest mover talked about this at the top of the show in Marshawn Lloyd. I have been clicking on him quite a bit. What's your take there on the Green Bay backfield?
Well, first of all, Marshawn Lloyd is like, he's got to be an Occupy fantasy darling at this point. We've talked about him ever since he came in the league as being a good pick, and like the reasons he's been a good pick as a backup running back still apply, especially with Josh Jacobs. I think I read that Josh Jacobs will not face legal, or was that Rashi Rice won't face any more legal stuff. So the point is, we have to worry about Josh Jacobs missing games?
Yeah, you've got, in theory, two reasons he may miss games going on at the same time. He's banged up, and there may or may not be some legal stuff, which is certainly not necessarily what we're here to talk about today, but we have to address at least how it impacts the game we are playing. So those are good reasons to be skeptical of Jacobs on net, right? So That's why I'm grabbing Lloyd as much as I can. I don't really feel like Chris Brooks is realistically a threat for a major amount of regular season touches there. Um, so yeah, I think if Jacobs is a player that you need this year, then I'm just going to have to say GG to the field there because I'm not going to have him.
Yeah, so he opened up at ADP 30, if I'm reading this right, and he's at around 44 right now, and he's pretty often going past that. He's actually at ADP 46 right now, sorry, but yeah, he's going past that a lot. And at what point does he start to like look attractive as a value?
I mean, right around where I picked Scatabo, I think, right, is probably, if he was still there and Scatabo wasn't, I may have considered it. But
Okay.
yeah, he's probably got to fall at least into the low 50s, beginning of the fifth round for me to actually be thinking about it.
Like, is this a player we're comfortable going into the season with very little of?
Yes. I mean, I'm going to be going into the season with
Okay.
very little of him, so I better be comfortable with it. I
I like
will
it.
at
Yeah.
least put out as a point of discussion, because I know it's something we've talked about with Brian as well. One of the things, thinking about like just tournament allocations, if this was a regular DFS slate, you look at him as a player the field is down on, maybe we should be at least considering him just for that reason alone, right? So I don't know. Maybe I will actually try to click on him or players like him a couple of times for that reason. You figure the players that everybody thinks are quote unquote bad plays, they may actually surprise us. So we probably should at least consider that before we finalize portfolios for the summer. Someone that
Okay.
I just cannot stop clicking on down here, Brian Thomas Jr.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
he's
What's your
pretty.
ratio on him versus the rest of the receivers?
Um, the rest of the receivers on Jacksonville
On
are in this
Jacksonville.
range.
Jacksonville. Yeah.
I have, I think, roughly equal amounts of him and Parker Washington. Not as much Myers. I'm out on Travis Hunter.
Hmm. Same.
So that's kind of where I'm at with the Jacksonville plays right now.
Okay. Nice. Nice. Yeah, we're pretty in on that offense overall, I think.
I have been drafting a ton of the Drake May and AJ Brown stack. Obviously, not getting that on today's show on this team, but um, it just seems like they're poised to play pretty well this season. So I know you don't necessarily have as many of the elite quarterbacks in your portfolio as I do. Drake May, Josh Allen, two of my highest exposed, and I definitely want to get them with their best receivers as often as possible when I'm stacking them.
That's something I've been consciously trying to do more of too. Not get the elite quarterbacks, but at least get guys like Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Brock Purdy as my QB1. For me, that's a tough thing to do. But looking at my QB exposures, it's so disgusting. So I'm trying to make that look a little bit better.
Been a lot of positive reports out of Jacksonville camp that Brian Thomas and Trevor Lawrence are really linking up nicely. So remember, this was a receiver we were taking in the first round in some spots last year, Chuck. We get him significantly later here. I will definitely buy into the bounce back there just to kind of tie a bow around the Jacksonville conversation. Um, Got to make a pick here. We still just have one running back. And I did obviously mention, I believe, in our last batch of shows that I do like the Tony Pollard pick. Man, I don't have any incentive to take him here, but I just 10 picks past ADP. I'll go with a naked Drake May and try to backstack.
Yeah, we talk about ADP value. We love getting these guys 10 picks past ADP. Just for reference, Drake May opened at 63 ADP. He's going at 67 right now. So I think this happens every year, though. The quarterbacks tend to get pushed down the board as we get closer to the season.
And I'm incentivized, obviously, to take Stafford, so I'll try to do that on the next turn because I have both of his receivers. But if that does materialize, this will be probably a two quarterback team for me. I've definitely been comfortable doing a lot more two quarterback builds. I say that as I notice they have the same bye week, so I can't necessarily do that here. But just in general, Chuck, I'm okay with going two quarterback a little bit more than I think I was at the beginning of the season, especially when you're grabbing these elite guys.
Well, I just mentioned, yeah, I'm taking more of like the Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy tier. So if I get two of those guys, I'm typically good. Like I know that I at the beginning of the offseason, I was adding a lot of like Jacoby Brissett and Tua at the end of drafts, but if I have two of those guys, I'm probably fine.
And that whole Tua situation, as much as you and I were high on that all spring and summer here, it's getting ugly quick. It seems like Michael Penix is winning that quarterback battle just by virtue of simply not playing poorly, which is tough to see.
Yeah, we got tricked, dude. They told us Tua looked good or something, and then he doesn't look good.
Yeah, whatever the opposite of good is, he's there right now. And it's
That
only August, of course, but tough
clip
scenes.
of Penix looking at Tua on the bench and pointing to him is going to do numbers on social media during this season. I hope Tua does well though. I have bags, and we kind of need Atlanta skill position players to be good. I think you recently came on to Kyle Pitts uh, a lot, right?
I did. As we get a Stetson Bennett rush TD here for your Rams in preseason week number 2.
Dope, dope.
Just looking, just looking to not see any significant player injuries, and we know that your Rams, my Rams on this team, I guess, are not going to see any of those because Sean McVay never plays the important players in these games. Yeah, man. Look, Kevin Stefanski. Ever since he's been a play caller in the National Football League, he was the offensive coordinator for the Vikings previous to his stint as head coach of the Cleveland Browns for about 6 years. Now he's going to be the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons this year. He's targeted tight ends heavily, about 30% of the time, pretty much every season, everywhere he's been calling plays. And I mean, that's got to be good news for Kyle Pitts, right? So that's the thesis.
Just got a notification. And guys, I need to mention this every video. That Q tag is very powerful on DraftKings. If a player is just held out of practice because they're a veteran and they have a rest day, they'll get that Q tag and their ADP will fall in those drafts on the days that that Q tag is present. I just got a notification that Deshaun Stribling, shoulder considered day to day, he's going to get that Q tag. So if you're worried the price is getting too high and you miss the boat, you might be able to still get some value on him. I mean, if you can draft him around his ADP, that's probably pretty good this week.
Speaking of ADP trends and changes, let's talk about Jordan Mason going 90th here on the show. I think we've seen basically the emergence of him as the primary running back in Minnesota. Definitely take hold of the fantasy player mindset, if you will. But 90, I think, is definitely the highest I've seen him go all year.
Yeah, and if you guys have been watching our shows all off season, we've been telling you like this was probably one of our strongest takes that Mason was a starter over Jones. I only have Jones a couple times, and when I'm in desperate need of a running back in that range, but Jordan Mason, I mean, he's moved up. Where is he even on my list? So he started at 126. He's up 2 full rounds. It's pretty significant.
Let's see if I can push Stafford around the turn since everybody behind me here has a quarterback already. It's not super likely, but I think it's worth the upside here to get an extra player like Gainwell as a Week 17 bringback also with those LA Ram receivers I already have.
This is a player I'm surprised Kenny Gainwell. I thought his hype would go up with Bucky Irving falling in ADP, but if I'm not mistaken, Gainwell, I can't even find him on the list now. Where's Kenny Gainwell? Okay, so actually, never mind. He did move up almost 2 full rounds. He started at 120. He's going around 97 right now. So another guy that I'm pretty happy to have loaded up on a little bit cheaper. I'm still clicking on him at that price.
Yeah, I think it's a 1A, 1B situation. We know Gainwell is going to have his passing down involvement at a minimum, and I think he can definitely get drives where he's the main running back as well there in Tampa Bay. We know that he did well with Pittsburgh last year. We know that Bucky has been trying to come back from injury as well. So definitely happy to grab him here. I think he's got high upside, especially in a PPR site like DraftKings for these types of contests. JCM goes here to the owner with the first overall pick. You got any read there on this Washington backfield situation? I know we've had a little bit of an injury situation with Rashad White over the last week plus, but that's another one that's kind of an RB 1A, 1B situation, right?
Yeah, my worry there is even if we guess right, how valuable is guessing right? These guys are pretty cheap, so we would get pretty good value if one of them emerges as like the lead back here. JCM, he showed he has the ability to have a spike week, right? To have a big week. He had a couple, if I'm not mistaken. He had at least one last season, and
Mm-hmm.
so I'm okay taking him. Rashad White has always been one of our favorite zero RB targets, but I'm not expecting him to put up 23 fantasy points in week 17. I'm expecting him to contribute 12, 13 points on a week when my other running back is hurt or doesn't do anything. Maybe fill the flex.
I'm going to hope Romeo Dobbs makes it back to me here on the 10th round just to get some kind of a stacking partner with Drake May. And the aforementioned Stribling going here in the 9th round, right around pick 100. That is, Chuck, where his ADP is right now,
Yeah,
100.8 on average. So It's just a meteoric rise for him for sure. Not the highest drafted rookie receiver though in this range. We still have haven't discussed the Browns yet on this show. KC Concepcion looked really good in preseason week 1, Chuck. It seems like both him and Denzel Boston are going to have day one large roles there in Cleveland.
I was hanging out earlier. My buddy calls me. He's like, "Hey, you gotta see this." And I go out and it's Deshaun Watson throwing a pick. And then the Bills scored on the very next possession. I have not heard very positive things about Deshaun Watson, and Shadur looks okay. I mean, how worried? Like these players are obviously talented. Concepcion and Boston are two guys that I'm consciously trying to add more, but again, they might be with a disastrous quarterback situation.
Again, I just think trailing game script situations, especially if this is a team that's going to be in contention for the number 1 overall pick this year, which I think is kind of the expectation, Chuck. These receivers are going to have spike week potential. That's really all I care about. I was drafting Sanders pretty heavily all summer here, and I don't feel as great about that as I did even like 3 weeks ago, because I do think there's a chance Cleveland wants to get one last look at whatever Watson's capable of. I don't know, dude. I think that's enough Browns talk for one day here. I think the receivers are viable here in fantasy. Probably Harold Fannin as well here at tight end. And maybe even like a Dylan Sampson as like a late round running back target, especially if he's going to have involvement in the passing game. We say it pretty much every show, every year. Even on the worst teams in the league, there are still fantasy relevant players, and they're undervalued, right? Because nobody wants these guys for that reason. But you look at the best players that are going to command touches in those offenses, we should be able to still find those 15 to 20 point games, especially in like the playoffs, hopefully.
Another guy I want to talk about, Alec Pierce. He's fallen pretty far in ADP. I thought he was kind of expensive after he signed that contract, and then I'm not sure how bad this injury actually is. Are you taking him now that he's fallen a little bit?
I'm very out on Alec Pierce. I haven't been clicking on him at all. I'm a little worried about it. Similar situation for me, by the way, not to completely move on, but with Jordan Tyson with the Saints and his
Okay.
just dramatic drop here, about
Yeah.
60 picks over the last week or so because he's going to be out for a couple months. We're going to just kind of stumble our way into injuries all year long. I don't want to be buying them on purpose to begin the year. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. So Tyson, you don't even think that he could have some value if he comes back, and we're just praying for that one spike week in the playoffs.
Yeah, it just depends on what that looks like, what it is, right? He's piled up a lot of soft tissue injuries, even going back to his time at Arizona State. So I really have a hard time feeling good about the player. I feel good though about Chuba Hubbard. I do want to say that and put that out there, especially kind of not feeling like Jonathan Brooks has looked. Everybody's going to look at film a little differently, I guess, right? But I don't think Jonathan Brooks has necessarily looked the part fully in the preseason, and I know it's only preseason, but we've seen Chuba Hubbard be able to handle the workload in the past, and the price is just getting better and better pretty much every single day.
Has Jonathan Brooks had a carry over 3 yards?
That's what I'm saying, dude. I really don't think he's actually had the efficiency. He's looked questionable in pass protection. Like, there's no way he's going to be able to just straight up keep Chuba off the field this year. You can clip that.
He had, I want to say, a 1 yard touchdown yesterday. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Oh, he averaged, so he had 5 carries for 18 yards. That's actually better than I thought.
Not by much.
It's tough. So Chuba Hubbard has fallen 2 full rounds. That's 26 picks since the contest opened. Meanwhile, Brooks is up. He's up 60 picks. What are we doing? Just take Jordan Mason 2 rounds later.
Do we think Debo's going to have an interesting season there in San Francisco? Obviously, I just took him. So, but as my 5th receiver, I mean, I'm just going basically for spike week potential. I see Shanahan just plug him into his own old role, dude. Like, does he get a few carries? Does he have high upside in the passing game, or is this rise in ADP because he's on the Niners again a little out unwarranted to you?
So it's 2026, and if I was to say who's the player in the NFL that you think of first when you think of a coach drawing up plays specifically to put the football in this player's hands, might still be Debo Samuel. And so for that reason alone, I think he's worth it. If they're just going to draw up some rushes, get him a couple cheap rushing touchdowns, then that's awesome.
Is it fair to say that he could not have signed with a better team?
Yeah,
Right? Like that
yeah,
definitely was the best possible outcome for him. So
yeah. Like fit, and then not to mention, it just Niners players are going to be injured off and on the entire season throughout the season. There's going to be opportunities for Debo to touch the football 10 times. It's a lot. The other guy that came up, where did Stephon Diggs go in this draft?
Diggs is
He's still on the board.
87th
Okay, so he's
in
coming
the
up a
eighth
lot.
round.
Do you think he's risen enough, or do you think that there's still some value to be had there? He's up
Uh,
70 picks.
that's that's even a little higher than I thought he would go. Like I think he's
Okay,
definitely risen enough.
okay, yeah, I saw him just around like maybe 105 or 110 a week or two ago, and that sounded right to me. I'm probably still gonna click on him at this price though. I want some exposure. I mean, he goes right around players like Cortland Sutton, Rico Dowdle, Kyle Pitts, and so it's a good player to take in the range.
I will say, as much as I was just dumping on him, 131st, Jordan Tyson. This is probably the spot where I'd be willing to take risks. Like this seems like he's fallen a little too far. If this is where he starts going on average,
Yeah, we're not going to be depending on him to help us advance, but if he's another dart throw for the playoffs, I love that.
and we care a lot more about who's playing in week 17 than we do in week 1, right? And if you're drafting him as your fifth receiver or later, you're not necessarily counting on a ton of production there. Definitely, at least could make a case for getting him on your rosters, I guess. Just got to be mindful of that soft tissue injury situation. That's all.
Another season-ending injury in this range, Jaden Higgins. It's funny because I think I've seen him like I saw this with Pearsall when he was announced out for the season. Like I don't think I've done a draft where Higgins hasn't gotten drafted. Like he just gets drafted every time, and it's just a free spot for anyone else in the draft. Are you looking at anyone else on Houston as before they really rise up in ADP these next couple weeks?
I think they just signed a couple of like
Yeah,
veteran players, right? I don't think that they're necessarily interesting for fantasy or anything, but brought in, was it Sterling Shepard and Zay Jones, I think it was.
yeah.
Obviously, Houston is telling us in general they don't think they have enough at the position. As far as what's already on the roster, it seems like Tank Dell is probably going to be an injured, like he'll make the roster and then immediately be placed on injured reserve because he has not been able to practice. So there's definitely roles available. I think where I net out here is not necessarily at the receiver position, Chuck. I think it's at tight end
Okay.
with Dalton Schultz. I think he's one of my favorite pass catchers on Houston and just one of my favorite late picks in general now for that reason.
Yeah, I buy it. We had a discussion about him, and I think we threw Hunter Henry in that category as just like late round tight ends that make too much sense if you need a tight end.
I take Shaheed here, get some more NFC West plays in here, get a little Rams correlation throughout the season here. So, and Shaheed is definitely just like that kind of guy that you're gonna look at his box scores much like they were in New Orleans, and he's gonna have like a bunch of 0 point games, and he's gonna have a bunch of 25 point games. You know, like that's just the type of player he is.
If I had to pick one player that goes like anywhere around this range to like really contribute, it would be Shaheed. I mean, we've been excited about him in years past. Was he returning from an injury or he just got traded midseason?
Traded midseason, yeah, but he may have been recovering from an injury at the same time.
So it's like he has a full training camp with these guys, and I've mentioned this with like JSN and the rest of Seattle's offense. Their defense was so good last year. There were multiple games they did not have to pass the football after the first quarter. Again, I mean their defense is probably going to be just as good this season, but if they don't, if the games aren't as blown out as they were last time, then Shaheed's going to have more opportunity, and we know that he's a guy who can put up 15 fantasy points on one play.
I mean, I've taken my fair share of Cooper Cup as well, but I mean, is it fair to say we think Shaheed has more juice than Cup at this stage of their careers? I think so.
I was looking at Cup's like career stats by year, and that one Triple Crown year stands out so hard. Like he was good in the other years, but it's just such an anomaly.
One of those. Remember where you were when Cooper Cup took over the NFL for that 1 year? Yeah, definitely crazy how quickly he burned out, so to speak. Man, are we clicking on Tracy still? He
Yeah.
got blown up in pass protection. Apparently fumbled on the goal line today. I think for me, there's enough here where I got to go elsewhere. And obviously, I have Scatabo on this roster, but Jonah Coleman with Denver really caught my attention. That Sean Payton basically said, like, yeah, I've seen enough. I know what I've got there, like in a good way. Like it really makes me think Jonah Coleman is going to be a really interesting player this year. Still have you
What?
there?
Yeah, I was thinking about the players that just went. I can't exactly see the number. Cyrus Allen went ahead of ADP. He's gonna come up in the next couple of weeks for sure.
Yeah, 144th here. That was much earlier
Oh,
than I
jeez.
expected him to go.
Lane two. Yeah, people are we live right now?
We
Um, I think they're two awesome picks, even in this range. Just consider the players that you're taking them over. Like McMillan, I think he's got some juice. Keenan Allen, he's going to catch a touchdown. Dontavion Wicks, I think actually looks kind of good. If he catches a football, he might be a fantasy stud. Jalen Naylor's getting targeted. He's the only person to get targeted in Vegas. So there's other guys in the range, but I think we
all
take a
right.
shot on the rookies.
This is kind of the conversation fodder this week, though. Watching Fernando Mendoza on Thursday Night Football here in preseason week 2. Naylor's out there getting run when the starters are getting rested. You know who's not is Trey Tucker. It does seem like Trey Tucker, who is still available here, might be the guy to own there in Las Vegas once again. But this might be enough Raider wide receiver talk for one day.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I have a lot more to say about Raiders wide receivers. We'll save it for my draft after this one.
Chris Bell going 156 is very aggressive, ahead of Caleb Douglas. Didn't necessarily expect to see that, but not surprised to see people interested in these rookies now that we have started to get some things on tape in both training camp and in games, and then obviously some coach speak out into the universe.
Can you talk about Chris Bell real quick? I think he came off the IR this week. Is that right? Or this
Yeah,
weekend?
just activated. So I don't think we've actually seen him do much in a game yet. I know basically there's a Miami game going on as we're taping this, Chuck, but definitely a much more high upside player than like a Jalen Tolbert or geez, who else is on Miami that we could say he's got more upside than Nick Westbrook, Akine, right? Like we probably should be clicking on a Chris Bell before we click on those guys. That's really I think all that needs to be said at this point, though.
Oh man, just got a notification that the Giants are playing the Dolphins right now. OBJ shakes a tackle and jukes another 12 yards.
What is it,
That
2014 again?
yeah, that's not a thing we're doing, right?
If you've said it many times. I think I said it once the show in reference to Josh Jacobs. If he's the player you need this year, I'm okay with not winning. I'm not doing it.
Let's get it.
I do need to do something about a quarterback so I don't straight up take a 0 in week 11 here. Man, but I really want. That was my guy, so that makes it a little easier for me, I guess. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take Hunter Henry and see if I can push Brissett around.
Okay.
Now I got at least somebody that correlates with May here, and on teams where we have Trey McBride, like we're probably wise not to get too deep at tight end, right?
Yeah, I would stop here. Yeah, we're good. I mean, yeah, Hunter Henry's gonna have a couple spike weeks. I say this every year. I think there was a season he didn't, but he's going to have a 2 touchdown game, and we just have to hope it comes in weeks 15, 16, 17.
So we're not going to get Brissett here.
Disaster.
Nah, is it?
Backup choice for you.
Uh,
It's all bad. Gino.
is Mendoza playing by the end of the year, Chuck? Like I don't buy it for a second that it's just going to be Kirk Cousins all year long. Just does not make any sense to me. And I really need somebody to be playing by week 11, looking at what's here for quarterbacks. Mendoza, Gino, Tua, Shadur, Like in this group, who do you feel the best about if it's not Mendoza?
It has been Tua most of the summer, but he's at risk of not starting. I mean, Geno Smith the safest like starter in Week 17? But then I heard the rookie looks kind of good. I don't even know his name.
Klubnik?
Yeah, we saw him yesterday, right? Was he
Yeah,
good? I played
yeah.
him. I think he was in my best lineup. Might have put up a
Uh,
fantasy point.
Dude, this is so gross.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take Fernando.
it's fine. Like you said, you only need him to start by week 11, so that's a good thing to pay attention to, like the bye weeks of the other quarterbacks. We don't need him at all before then, so hopefully he just gets to start half the season.
He either just straight up starts right away because he's the number one pick in the NFL draft, and at a certain point, just the business of the league, the owner calls down and says, "I want to see what I got," or he's in by midseason because this team is doing terrible and there's no reason to stick with Kirk Cousins. So he feels very safe to me, especially for the second half of the season.
Are you gonna take a shot on any pass catchers?
I don't know. We'll see how the draft goes. I don't necessarily need to. When I look at what I have here, Puka, Pickens, Adams, Brian Thomas, Debo, Rashid Shaheed, like if
Yeah.
I need one of those Raiders pass catchers to actually score points for me, the team's probably dead anyway. But if it falls to me, then sure.
You mentioned Tank Dell is probably gonna go on the IR. Are you drafting him at all? Because I'm actually drafting him like a lot.
I have been to the point where I think I need to pump the brakes a little bit just because I think I already have more than I probably should have. I probably have about 20% right now, Chuck.
I'm right
So,
around there.
yeah, I just think if he's able to come back, he will have a really good chance to be productive with Stroud in that offense. But he's got to be able to get on the field for a practice, dude, and he just has not been able to do that yet. That's definitely a big concern. To your
High
point,
risk. Go ahead.
on Jaden Higgins, still has an ADP of 175. It is extremely easy. Shout out to I think it was Jets 13 actually in our Discord to just simply go into your rankings and remove that player. Like, don't even allow yourself to auto draft that player because you are at risk of still selecting him if you're just going by ADP right now.
Yeah, something I have to do because like I removed Ricky Pearsall when it happened, but then it saves those rankings in the ADP shifts. You have to go in and do the reset again and manually remove them again. Otherwise, your ADP because it's going to shift kind of dramatically now. I think DraftKings is pretty good about moving the ADPs. It might be every morning or every other morning or something, but they move pretty quick when something happens.
You just go in and use those sliders, those drag and drops, and just move Higgins down to like 300th, and you'll never take him. Like,
There you go. Yeah, 'cause like it feels so bad, you know. Rankings. All right. Good tip. I just took him out. Thanks, Jets.
even looking at Pearsall, his ADP still technically has him within like a draftable window. His ADP is still 211 right now.
Yeah, it's just a terrible mistake to make. Tyquan Thornton? Why is he getting drafted?
It's expected to be a starting receiver for Patrick Mahomes. I really think it begins and ends there.
He fits the mold of players that I like drafting in best ball because I don't, we always say we don't care about the zero, but he had spike games of 13.9 and 18.1 last season. It's not much, but if he has 18 in one game this season, he's probably a good pick at that at that ADP.
All day to pick, right? Um, these Jets rookies, dude, Kenyon Sadiq and Omar Cooper Jr. Any thoughts there? We've kind of seen Cooper's spot on the depth chart, if you will, fluctuate just this month alone. You know, allegedly fighting for a starting spot with Isaiah Williams there out of the slot. I think he's actually still available in this draft for me here. Are you buying some Omar Cooper at this point, or are you out?
I've taken some. I'm taking a lot of rookies towards the end of drafts. I'm taking some Omar Cooper. I haven't taken Sadiq, but I am interested. He's not really coming up in ADP, which is surprising. Like, I don't think Mason Taylor's a slouch. I actually have a decent amount of him as a last round desperation tight end, but Sadiq is probably a value. I mean, something like how many? Do you remember what pick he was in the NFL draft? Sadiq? He was a first rounder.
Second, yeah, you're really putting me testing my knowledge here as I'm trying to make a draft pick. Excuse me. Sorry. I took Mike Washington, so I do have a Mendoza stack partner going with straight up second string rookies there. Kenyon Sadiq, NFL Draft 2026, was selected in the first round, 16th overall. So, excuse me.
So
Should have known that. Did not know that off the top of my head.
which tight ends have been drafted in the first round the last 5 years or 6 years, whatever? Kyle Pitts, Brock Bowers, Sam Laporta. They all finished top 12, right?
So, you're basically coming up with a bull case here for Sadiq. I like it.
He's going so cheap. It costs nothing to take him, and since I typically like to take 4 tight ends anyway, maybe that makes it feel a lot better. Or like 3 tight ends is fine too, though, depending on who the two are. It is again, I don't have much, but I feel like it's a player we should be taking shots on because he has league winning potential, maybe.
Oh, the draft capital is there. Yeah, so they just had 2 first round picks in the at the skill positions. Sadiq 16th overall, Cooper 31st. And yeah, I think you can say the same thing for Cooper. First round pick, they're going to get on the field. They're going to have opportunities to produce. So yeah, maybe we should be mixing in Sadiq more. I'm with you there.
The Jets have a lot of weapons now that we think about it. Adonai Mitchell, Garrett Wilson.
Adonai Mitchell looking good out there with Geno Smith the other day too.
Yeah, good last round dart too.
All right, that's enough Jets talk for one show. But I think we made at least one of our Discord members happy with it. What do you think about Juwan Jennings now that he's in Minnesota and no longer in San Francisco?
It's a player that if I had to pick, I would say he beats his ADP, but I'm not that. I still don't feel excited to draft him. If something happens to Addison or Justin Jefferson, I do think Kyler Murray's good. I'm more excited about Jefferson than anything, though, because I'm kind of I don't know, something about when Kyler Murray had Hopkins. Like, he only had eyes for Hopkins.
I haven't been clicking on Juwan Jennings, but he's 2.5 rounds behind his ADP, so
Yeah.
this is the time to do it, right?
And like I said, I do think, I would think that he beats his ADP.
Kamara kind of sliding way down again because he's got a little bit of an injury going on, but I don't mind clicking on him here either.
Yeah, and I mentioned in one of our previous shows, I wanted to take ETN more. We got a few picks of ADP value on him for that couple of weeks until Kamara got hurt, and so I hope you guys loaded up. I still want to take ETN a lot. I mean, they paid him. He's the man there. Kamara already wasn't good last year, and so even when he comes back, I'm not that worried.
Just kind of looking at what we got as we've got 3 rounds left to go here. 3 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 7 receivers, 2 tight ends. I think we're pretty much in agreement that when you take Trey McBride early, it kind of means you stop at 2, max 3 tight ends. So that means, Chuck, I'm probably going to round this out with maybe 1 more running back and some pass catchers. Malachi Fields is considered to be one of the favorites to line up alongside Neighbors as a starting receiver in the Giants offense this year. And he's one of the rookies I have not really been clicking on that much, Chuck. So that is something I definitely want to address over the next couple weeks.
Same. I don't know who that is.
Always appreciate your honesty on this show, Chuck.
Just what's the upside, What are we hoping happens?
I mean, we're hoping that he's better than Darius Slayton, right? That shouldn't be that hard.
I imagine I'm drafting him. I'm drafting Darius Slayton. He's going to score 11 points and 13 points. And then that's it.
So talk to me about some of these other rookies then down here. Let's go Zachariah Branch with the Atlanta Falcons. Let's talk Antonio Williams with the Washington Commanders. Any thoughts here on these guys?
Branch I've taken a couple times. Antonio Williams was getting drafted, and now he's pretty much fallen, right? I don't remember the reason for that.
That's the Diggs casualty, I think.
Okay. I mean, if that's the reason, I think we can still take shots on him. Branch I'm adding on at the end of drafts, desperation, but I'm also taking Zacchaeus. I think you have too. Yep. Maybe Branch has more ceiling upside, but I don't know. Zacchaeus will give us a couple games. I don't know how much we care about the 12 points he's going to have in those. Darnell Mooney was on the Giants too.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of crowded with mid receivers.
They definitely have a bunch of guys that you're like, oh yeah, he's in the NFL, but not exciting players. I guess somebody. down here that we probably need to discuss, just going back to our Houston conversation a few minutes ago. Xavier Hutchinson with
Yeah.
Houston is probably a receiver that now at least has more like routes on the field without Jaden Higgins out there. So if you're looking for the guy that may see the most increase in playing time, it's probably Hutchinson. I know some people have speculated on Jalen Noel, but I think Noel was kind of, as he comes off the board, Noel was already going to have somewhat of a role. So I think the biggest quote unquote beneficiary of the injury is probably Hutchinson to me.
Yeah, I could see that. Not too excited about it still.
No, it's kind of why I mentioned I like the tight end there, but
Yeah.
you want actually where the routes are going to go. That's where I think they're going to go. So
So these are all like receivers going out, or I don't know, just Devon Bailey. Were you guys in on him or no?
I mean, if we're out on Tyson or skeptical of Tyson, we need to at least be considering Vele, right?
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
kind of the next man up in that spot.
Yeah, I've been interested in him before. I don't know if I'm going to take him much this season. I probably will in desperation sometimes. And then a guy that just came off the board, good transition to rookie running backs, Emmett Johnson. You're talking me into him a little bit.
That was kind of the guy I wanted here, to be honest with you, to round out my team. I think, Andy Reid running backs, obviously, I think the field in general is extremely high here on Kenneth Walker with Kansas City. But if Emmett Johnson's going to be the primary backup there, if that's more of like a 1A, 1B situation than we think it's going to be, that there's just so much value. We'll go with Williams because we said he still has value, and I'm out of time.
Yeah, I'm pretty high on Kenneth Walker now. I don't think I was earlier in the offseason, but his games when Charbonnet wasn't available seemed pretty good. Um, and he's just going to get the volume. They haven't had a good running back in a while.
Yeah, they split work between what was it, Kareem Hunt and a bunch of other guys last year. But I guess
Corpse
to your
of Kareem
point,
Hunt.
they didn't have like a true guy to just feature like they have now. So we shall see.
It's an interesting stat too. I mean, we didn't talk about Mahomes. He's fallen in ADP too. I think we're both interested in drafting him, but last year it was something like I'm not gonna make up numbers, but a higher percentage of his fantasy points came from rushing production than compared to the past 3 seasons or something. And so should we? I don't know if we should be worried that he's not gonna try to run as much now, since like so much of his fantasy value
Why are
last
we
year apparently was
drafting?
just running.
I need to not like be
Oh, you
rude to
got
other
sniped.
people. I just don't know why people are taking Darren Waller in 2026. But
I thought you got sniped on someone.
I like Pop Douglas, dude. I think he's going to be a starting receiver for the Patriots this year, primarily out of the slot. And I think this is the thing to do, dude. 9 receivers on one team is obviously a lot, but when I have an elite tight end, I have an extra spot, so I'm willing to go above the typical 8 that I land on. But I think when you're going to take an elite quarterback early, like a Drake May, or you want to go with Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott or Joe Burrow, I think something that makes sense to do here at the end of a draft is to just take shots on some correlation there with some of the secondary players at receiver, and maybe you run into some touchdowns nobody has in the playoff weeks, and that's how you climb to the top of the leaderboard. You know?
My boy Jake Tonges.
Yeah, you're sweating that one out. I think that we have like an imminent announcement coming that George Kittle is like completely good to go. It was not what we expected a couple weeks ago for sure. A couple months ago, excuse me.
I started adding Kittle, and with Tonjes, I was looking at him as a mega value before. I still see him as a value now. I still feel good drafting him as my third tight end if I have 2 decent tight ends like Brenton Strange and Hunter Henry, or a fourth tight end if I'm just putting together 4 guys at the end of the draft. Those other rookie running backs I was talking about, those are the two though, Kalen Black and Katron Allen. Any preference between the two? Are you drafting both of them?
It's got to be Black just by virtue of our age old rule we talk about pretty much every show. We like players on good teams, and we do think that the 49ers are one of the better teams in the league. If this McCaffrey injury thing is going to be a thing in 2026, it seems like Kalen Black is going to be one of the players that has the highest upside to benefit from that. So I'll take him over Katron straight up for that reason.
Okay, that's enough of a reason for me.
I mean, that Kyle Shanahan starting running back role is so valuable. It's the biggest reason why I think Jordan Mason still has some juice in the NFL. Everybody saw what he was able to do with San Francisco that year. So, speaking of running backs and what is still available, I think that's what I want for my final pick here. As we look at what's available, I'm sorted by ADP. Sean Tucker, Nick Singleton, George Olani, Damon Claiborne. Anybody here stand out to you?
No. No. I think I have the most of did you say Sean Tucker's name? I have the most of him in this range, but
Yeah, I mean,
it's
he's got the
really
highest
just
ADP, so that makes sense.
random number generator, man.
I was into Holani until I saw the Seahawks give him run into like the third quarter of a preseason game.
Same
I
here.
don't see it happening, dude. I think I'm out
Yeah.
now.
I mean, Claiborne's interesting, but again, Titan, like, why are we driving the RB4 on a bad team? Is he the RB3 or 4? I guess 3.
3.
So that's not too bad. I was thinking of the other guy, the second on the screen right now. Is that Singleton?
Yeah.
Yeah, why are we drafting the RB3 on the Titans? On Tennessee?
I just want to give a shout out as he announced his retirement from the NFL. Nick Chubb, one of my favorite picks of all time. Not going to be drafting him anymore.
Did you read his letter? It was sad.
It is very sad. He was a fun watch for sure.
Big fan.
I've already got Kenny Gainwell, so we're not going to go the Sean Tucker direction. We're also not going to go the Sean Tucker direction because he was selected ahead of me here. I'm going to go with Emmanuel Wilson, dude. I think he's got some juice still, and I like Seattle running backs. So, yeah, we got a 3.692. This is not one of my favorite teams, but it is definitely one of the teams I've ever drafted, and we can say that. Hey, look, ignoring the end of this draft here, I love being able to get the double stack with Matt Stafford of Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. I mean, it's hard to feel bad about any team that you build that way, right?
I haven't accomplished that yet. Yeah, it's a nice one.
So let's let you take a draft over here, and we'll continue our discussion about ADP changes. I'll scour the list here for players we haven't discussed fully yet, and keep us on topic the rest of the way here. Looks like Jaden Blue with Dallas is one of the biggest movers. He has seen his ADP drop or rise, 58 spots since the contest opened at the end of April. Obviously, the field is voting with their dollars here, saying we think Blue is going to be the primary backup behind Javonte Williams. How do you feel about that?
I haven't taken any backups on Dallas. I'm like, dude, if I'm taking someone, I'm probably just clicking on Phil Maffa.
Maffa?
Yeah, is he gonna make the roster?
I mean, that's just not who I expected you to say.
I just
I've been clicking on Malik Davis because I think he's the actual backup there, if that makes sense. But wow, okay, I got to digest Maffa a little bit
it's
there.
just he's shown that he can put up a spike game, and Jaden Blue hasn't. Like, if I'm am I wrong? Did Maffa have like he had to have like a 15-point game or something? I'm not making this up.
You're not. I think he got some run there in week 18 last year because we play a week 18 now. Man,
Maybe it was the year
Maffa's not the
before.
one for me. I think it's Malik Davis. This is some excellent content. Look at this. This happened to us a bunch in the last batch of shows too. Picking from the same spot. Probably just going to grab Puka if you can, I assume. Let's see if you can pull off the double stack as well. Looking at ADP risers, Pat Bryant with the Denver Broncos. He started out around 226. He's going around pick 181, so still an extremely affordable draft pick here, but up nearly 4 rounds. Real chance to be a starting wide receiver here for Denver. A lot of folks think that means potentially Cortland Sutton's job is at risk there long term. How you feeling about Pat Bryant?
We mentioned him on the shows. If you guys listened to us a couple months ago, you got some good ADP value. I'm excited about him. I feel better about him than Troy Franklin. And then, did Marvin Mims return from injury like yesterday, maybe?
Yeah, I believe we read he was available to play in week 2's preseason games. So, by the time we get back to the regular season, he will probably be good shape to play, but I think Mims kind of shapes up as more of a returner, gadget player in this current iteration of Denver's offense. I think it's going to be hard to keep Pat Bryant off the field, dude. I love clicking him down here. And the field does as well. That's why his ADP is going up and up. I want to give some time to you to wax poetic about your favorite team in the NFL, the Los Angeles Rams, because the next player on our list who has seen his ADP go up 40 picks since contest opened is tight end Terrence Ferguson. I know you and I have both said we think Tyler Higbee is at least interesting to click on this year, but Ferguson is definitely making it hard to stay flag planted there, right?
I don't understand. Like, did he had two? He's the one who had two touchdowns in practice the other day, right, Ferguson?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand him rising in ADP. Let me double check versus Parkinson though, because Parkinson was the guy I did start clicking on. I think they all have value. We know that the Rams are going to run out like multiple tight end sets. I think I actually looked it up last season. They were number one, like for a long time. But Ferguson is now going at ADP 172. Parkinson's at 207. Parkinson actually fell around while Ferguson's up almost 4 rounds. I mean, I don't know. I'll click on him in my four tight end teams, but I don't know. Other than that, it's tough. I'm not clicking on Higbee anymore, though.
Ferguson's getting significantly more expensive than I thought he was going to be, but I still think we probably need to buy into the group think there at least a little bit. Some FOMO for sure for me. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, the Rams set a record 331 offensive plays with three tight ends on the field. Like, that's a big deal, man. I mean, it's basically Devontae and Puka. There's a reason we're not drafting hopeful wide receiver 3 on the Rams. It's because the wide receiver 3 is the tight ends. And they averaged 8.4 yards per pass play. That's really, really good. That's like very elite.
Shout out the Rams, man. Got a big lead here at halftime in this preseason game, 20-0.
Who caught the touchdown?
Well, we had a Stetson Bennett rush touchdown. We already broke that live on this recorded show. So for those of you watching this after the fact, you're going to be so. He's got 2 of them, dude. Stetson Bennett, 2 rushing touchdowns. That is definitely fun for people who played Ty Simpson today.
I was gonna say we drafted Ty Simpson in best ball. It's not even the second best quarterback on his team.
Yeah, those early bird drafts with Ty Simpson not looking good at all.
No, he's still in my top 4 highest exposed quarterbacks, and I haven't touched him in like 4 months.
So you're not going to be pairing Ty Simpson with Puka Nacua here in this draft, is what you're telling me. Got it.
I'll take Shadur. Another notification: OBJ unable to catch the football, so cancel out the earlier one.
Greg Dulcich, tight end with the Miami Dolphins, also up about 3.5 rounds, right next to Terrence Ferguson. I think we've talked about him several times. We've anticipated him having a big target share from Malik Willis, and he's right next to rookie wide receiver Caleb Douglas, who we talked about as well earlier in the show. Philadelphia Eagles running back Tank Bigsby, his ADP's up about 3 rounds since April.
Should be.
That's a strong endorsement. Now, this is just one of those contingent value plays, though, right? Because unlike a lot of backup running backs that you and I like for contests, we tend to draft guys that have at least a floor of some kind of a role, 5 to 7 touches a game. I don't think Bigsby's in that camp, or do you feel differently there?
Yeah, I
You
think
do?
he is. Yeah, I'm gonna buy into the coach speak about it's gonna be more of a split or whatever they said. I think Bigsby touches the football every game, and so I don't think he has much value there. Maybe he'll get a goal line here and there or break off one, but his main value still comes from if Saquon goes down. But I do think he plays every football game. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
I'm down on Saquon though. I'm not taking him much. I mentioned I want to try and fit in more of these running backs in this range, but Saquon is probably the one I'm lightest on, other than Hampton.
All right, I got a couple of wide receivers here I want to talk to you about, and then I'm going to move on to players that are dropping down the draft board. So basically the fades right now, and we can discuss how we feel about the Fields moves there when we get to that point. But Josh Downs, Adonai Mitchell, Quentin Johnston, these are all guys who have seen their ADPs increase significantly this summer.
Okay.
You have a favorite in this group? I know they're in very different spots on the draft board.
I want to draft more Quentin Johnston, but I hate paying the price. I mean, I guess like he's my favorite, but not at ADP, so I don't know if that's a cop out answer. Downs, I'm having trouble getting to, even though it makes sense, and I was excited about him last year, but I can't remember what it was. There was something in the advanced stats or something about him that really turned me off.
Now, the Keenan Allen signing is also kind of troubling as well, right?
Yeah, we told you to draft Keenan. He's probably their best receiver now.
All right, so I'm going to just kind of skip over the injury names here because those are kind of the obvious fades. But Kenyon Sadiq, his ADP has gone up a lot. We've talked about him earlier already, so we can skip over that. But there are a couple of other tight ends, a rookie and a second-year player that we at least need to discuss a little bit. Arondé Gadsden with the Chargers. We'll start there. Was going around pick 120, now going around pick 165. He's not even a top two tight end on his own team, dude. Like he can't get on the field ahead of Charlie Kolar and David Njoku. My Gadsden bags are feeling bad right now.
Dude, I've drafted Kolar more than I've drafted Gadsden recently, and go look at Kolar's box scores from last year. I think his high was like 4.5.
Kolar was drafted originally by the Ravens, the other Harbaugh brother, while he was still with Baltimore, and just never really got going in that offense. Obviously, because of the Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews duo. But there's some upside there, man. Charlie Kolar is kind of interesting, like a lot more interesting than I thought he was going to be. Admittedly, when we look at how he played for Iowa State, there's some pass catching juice here. We had 591 plus receiving yards in his last 3 years in college and a floor in there of 44 receptions. Like you're looking at in college over the last 3 years of his career, like 4 or 5 catches a game, 50 plus yards receiving a game. Like if you get that in the National Football League from a tight end you're drafting at the end of a fantasy draft board, like you're thrilled with that.
Yeah, and I am. This has to be the first time I've ever been interested in the player who scored 12 total fantasy points the previous season. But I agree with Chris. Like the upside case is definitely there for him.
Plus, I mean, if it's Mike McDaniel's offense, we already saw that in Miami for several seasons. We know that if there's players he likes that he's trying to get on the field, that there's going to be some value there as well. The other faller at tight end, though, who we were both drafting, like Ty Simpson in early best ball stuff, Eli Stowers with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's down about 4 rounds since contest opened. Similar reasons to Gadsden. He seems to be buried on the depth chart.
I messed this up. I'm so upset. I wish I didn't take Pickens because I forgot you did right after I clicked him, and I would have taken Javante to get that Dallas Rams Week 15 correlation. But I don't know. I don't like any of the players available here. Like Lad McConkey, is he up 12 picks or something? It's insane.
You don't like
Why?
Devontae Smith there? I feel like a few weeks ago, before A.J. Brown was even on the Patriots, we were thrilled with this.
I don't feel good about it now. I'd just rather. Well, Kyron was a player I really wanted. I don't think I would have taken Trey McBride since we do that every stream. I don't know. Like Zay Flowers is a guy who, in theory, sounds the best, but I don't know. Not feeling great about it. I worry about his production here. Like none of these guys feel great. DJ Moore's hurt, isn't he? Why is he going to pick 32?
That's an aggressive selection. That's basically a round ahead of where he goes. I don't know. I think we're on opposite ends of the spectrum here. Obviously, I like Puka Pickens. I just did the same thing. And I really like Devontae Smith. I think if he can stay on the field, we still expect Philadelphia to be one of the better teams in the National Football League. He's going to be the primary target for Jalen Hurts. Like, there's just a lot of upside there. I also think you've left pretty much the board wide open for what you can do with quarterbacks here. You don't even necessarily have to target the Rams. You could go for a Jalen Hurts or a Dak Prescott stack. So I like picking here on the fourth pick and having that optionality here. You got a lot of directions you can go.
Yeah, I mentioned I wanted to take running backs a little earlier too. It's really hard to do with these 4, 5, 6 picks. So this is fine. And then we'll just take the same running backs we've taken every show,
It's
different
just because all those,
ADPs.
a ton of your high end running backs, they go at that round 1, 2 turn.
Mhm.
Like look at that sea of green there on that wraparound there after pick 6 in the first round. Like that's just kind of the way it is in drafts this year. And the receivers are on the other end. You either have an early pick and you get 2 receivers. Chase going number 1 overall, obviously a little different in this contest than in some others. But other than Gibbs and Bijan, dude, this is just kind of the way every draft goes this year.
And the order, I mean, this is just one draft, but it's interesting because earlier in the summer, I feel like we saw Marion Hampton go closer to 14, where Devin A. Chain was 18-ish. Maybe, yeah, just whatever order people. There's no consensus on these guys. I asked the question in the Discord the other day. Everyone had a different answer for how you would rank these 7 running backs right here.
I suppose we can get into that because I think I did chime in with my rankings there, and I have a little bit of a hot take. I'm definitely willing to be embarrassed by it.
I think we were similar, except for one we were the opposite on. Oh my gosh, please let me get T. Higgins 10 past ADP. Just do it one time. Don't take him. You have 3 receivers. You don't
The
need him,
most
dude.
the most excited I've ever seen anybody be for T. Higgins. Okay, so the group of running backs that you wanted everybody to rank. So that's Saquon Barkley through Ashton, Jonty group, Barkley, Walker, Brown, Achan, Hampton, Henry, and Jonty. I
Hmm.
think where I surprised probably most people, Chuck, is in that group. I'm the lowest on Ken Walker, and I'm the
Yes.
highest on Devin Achan.
Okay. Okay. I think we agree on Achan. I might put Walker second, if not Derrick Henry. So 2 or 3, I guess, are Walker and Henry. Hampton's last.
Hampton is second to last for me. I've got Barkley 2, Jonty 3rd. I know everybody hates the way I say that, by the way, so I'm just putting that out there before everybody starts trolling me.
I'm just copying
Um,
Chris when I say it. So
yeah, so I just think I have a little bit more fear that the Kansas City backfield is more of a split than I think we're anticipating with that ADP. So I just want
okay.
to be clear on why I rank Walker so low compared to the rest of that group. It's more of I think that his ADP is higher than I would like. So if he ends up having a face melting season and scoring 31 touchdowns, then it is what it is. It's not like I have zero. I definitely am drafting him in line with the field. I just think I would prefer him to be like a third round pick or a late second round pick than a late first to an early second. So we're splitting hairs here, and we're talking about kind of great running backs in general. But yeah, man, I just think the upside with some of these other players is higher. I think Achan could be he could get 400 touches in that offense. Like I don't care if it's a bad offense necessarily. That is
Yeah.
still very very good for fantasy football. I think Barkley has a chance to see more involvement in the passing game without AJ Brown around. Like there's just a lot of ways things go well for some of these guys going around Walker.
I'm going to go for it because I don't like these running backs. Actually, we'll take Christian Watson. I'm going to take 6 receivers to start the draft, and then we're not taking a receiver for the rest of the draft. Assuming I get someone I like at 69. Like if this was Parker Washington somehow, it's perfect. Probably won't be, but
Parker Washington went way ahead of where he normally goes, and I know you and I are both Parker
uh,
Washington guys, but that's an aggressive selection.
I'm not taking. It's like it's so much ADP value. You didn't just so Parker Washington goes at ADP 52. He was taken at pick 38. You're not just reaching 14 picks, but you're reaching however many picks was T Higgins. So an extra 3 picks. So I guess it's not that much, but like you got to consider that you're not just reaching for Parker, but you're also passing up on the value you could have got T Higgins at. I mean, we say get your guys, but like ADP tends to be pretty accurate. Not like specific, but generally it's pretty accurate. Every season, the public is actually pretty good. So you don't want to do stuff like that. Although I will say you're not going to get him coming back to you on the other end. He's rarely going to make it to 59. So maybe this is the one situation that I don't mind it as much. But you are taking him 2 full rounds ahead,
Man,
or I guess a full round ahead.
as I speak this into existence, it's definitely going to like start happening. But quarterbacks are falling in this particular contest for you. Nobody has gone other than Josh Allen. That is, I think you mentioned it in the first hour of the show. Like quarterback ADPs definitely tend to drop a little bit closer to the season, but that's you're wide open, dude, to still get one of those quarterbacks that you need to pair with those receivers you got, which has to feel good.
Something to consider that I don't know if I do it enough, and you never know what's going to happen. Like this guy took Lamar. There could be six quarterbacks taken in a row right now, but we know the room is not valuing quarterbacks highly, and so we might see a quarterback up here who's at past ADP. But consider that these quarterbacks down here might also fall past ADP. Now they might be scrambling to pick them up since they skipped on them early, but don't just see like an early quarterback. Like you saw Drake May 10 past ADP. I'd probably take him too. But consider that a guy that you could pair with one of your pass catchers, like Matt Stafford or Jalen Hurts, is going to fall 10 picks also if you're between two players here. So don't just take the early quarterback because they fall.
Love when we have a show where you just immediately call out one of my moves. I love it.
I realized it as I was saying it.
It's all good. I am high on Drake May. I think he's a top five
Yeah.
quarterback in general. Not a hot take. His ADP is in that kind of range anyway, as far as where he's taken amongst his peers at the position. But it just feels like a year from now, he's got the chops and the upside to be taken right around where Josh Allen is going. So I'm going to get him while he's cheap this year.
And again, it's random, but I say that because I've done things like take Drake May 10 past ADP with no pair, and then Brock Purdy will be sitting there at pick 140. And I could have just got Brock Purdy. Let's see who we might end up getting. Marvin Harrison would be good. Take Brian Thomas Jr. since I'm on a show with you. It's our sixth receiver. Or is our sixth receiver Cyrus Allen? I might actually wait on that. Actually, we'll see. I'll take Joe Burrow if he's there. I know I just said don't take quarterbacks if they're past ADP, but we'll try it.
You gave us the caveat that unless they pair with one of your guys, so I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Cyrus Allen going 181st on average. He went way ahead of that in my draft on today's show, but you definitely can wait to get him if you like him. That's, I think, safe to say.
185. I might target him 165. I hope I remember. It's going to be in like 30 minutes, so we'll see. Pittman? What is happening? This is an awesome draft room. Fellas, go out and draft some teams because you guys are going to pick up some good ADP value.
When you're getting into the 70s here and there's only two quarterbacks off the board. I have seen this rarely this year. This is crazy.
Yeah, we are gonna take Burrow, assuming this guy this would be the perfect room if he took Burrow right now. It'd be awesome when Drake May's sitting there for his AJ Brown. Like why did you do that? Why did you do that?
Oh my goodness.
I don't understand. I'm not taking May. I just, why'd you do that? I might take Hurts on the. I'm so worried about Hurts. I've seen not a single positive report on him in practice. Take Ramondre as my RB1. Maybe I'll consider Hurts or Dak. Have you seen those reports about Jalen Hurts being awful?
Just had, so for those who are maybe new to watching the videos on this channel, I am local to New England, so I am a little bit of a homer when I say that I'm high on Drake May. But the Eagles were also just here for joint practices, and yeah, a lot of the reporting was that Hurts was kind of throwing the ball all around the yard in all the wrong ways. Like it just seems like it might be a tough year for him. I don't know. I'm not buying it though. I think when we get to Sundays, he's going to look a lot like the player that we've gotten used to seeing over the last few years, Chuck. And the production on the ground is really what gives us a nice floor-ceiling combination with Jalen Hurts. So I think especially as he goes later and later in drafts, as much as you may be worried about the production there, like what are they realistically going to do? There's nobody behind him that they're going to turn to, right? Like if they're in contention, he's the guy, unless he gets hurt. It's just the way it goes.
I'm pretty sure after Josh Allen, if we're still considering Jalen Hurts elite, he's my second highest owned elite quarterback. I'm over 10% on him, but because I feel comfortable taking him without a pair. Maybe I can add Goddard later.
Yeah.
If I miss on Goddard, I got nothing. But Jalen Hurts
You've got,
seems like he's okay.
You've got what, like at least 8 rushing touchdowns there, maybe 10. Like just trying to be conservative with the 8 there. Like Hurts is definitely interesting for sure. That's a tough click between him and Dak though, because it just kind of feels way easier to click on Dak.
I'm gonna click Dak. One, I have less Dak than I have Hurts, but my first two picks were Puka and George Pickens, so I'll pick a quarterback from that week's. Well, it's only week 15, but from that week 15 game is fine. I don't have any correlations with Philadelphia right now. Seattle, Houston, San Francisco, so I got nothing for them. Thought this was gonna be a good draft when I got 5 fire receivers in a row. Dude, T Higgins at 45. Like, who cares what happens in the rest of the draft? I already won. Just don't mess it up, right?
Here comes the
Yeah,
quarterbacks.
yeah, yeah. Stafford. This is 20 picks
That's
ahead of
very
ADP.
aggressive. Yeah.
So I don't get this, dude. You passed up on quarterbacks going way past ADP, and then you reach for Stafford without a pair. Not to criticize Skimball, he might have a master plan to backdraft like the tight ends or something, but it's just a tough situation to build out of.
It's just the type of thing that's going to happen to you. I had a Parker Washington, Brian Thomas double stack. I had somebody right next to me that only had 2 receivers through like 8 rounds. They end up taking Trevor Lawrence out from under me. Like it's just you can't assume the field is going to be rational, dude. It's just kind of the way it goes.
I think we hopped in the Discord the other day, like anybody want to hop in some drafts, and me and Chris were the only ones to get in it. And yeah, I witnessed that in real time.
That's right. You were in that one with me. I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, my team wasn't good either. I didn't even like you still posted your team proudly. I didn't even let the Discord see what I drafted because I was not proud of it. It's not a good representation of me. Scribbling at 83, dude. He just got hurt. Oh man, this is an awesome draft room.
After the way he was targeted in that second preseason game, I was like, he's going to be a second round draft pick by tomorrow morning. So I am
Like
not obviously I kid, but I'm not surprised to see his cost go up.
like I know Mike Evans wasn't on the field, but Stribling was a first, second, and third option. Like first, second, and third read on every progression. Like, oh, he's not open? Oh, we'll wait another second, see if he gets open.
Here's what I will say about, I guess, trying to flag plant somewhere on the Stribling wars, as they're being called here in fantasy Twitter, fantasy internet, if you will. It's just another example of something that has been proven to be true more often than not, at least as far as getting the opportunity to produce is concerned. Draft capital is king. The 49ers spent an extremely high pick on him. And as much as he wasn't like a highly touted prospect by the analyst community, that's really all that matters. When an NFL team invests a high pick in a player, they're going to get a chance to play. That's really all you need to know.
Call it the Zay Jones theory. I misspoke on a previous stream. I said he got like 50 million. It was only like 30 million, but it was still a ridiculous contract for him. And guess what? He played a lot of snaps that season.
Mm-hmm. So who knows how Stribling's career is going to go? I can just tell you that he will absolutely get the opportunity to prove it on the field.
Okay. 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 Oh man.
Love
Tony
me some.
Pollard or Cortland Sutton?
I'm just gonna
Uh,
love me some Tony Pollard personally,
I
especially
feel
when I
like,
need a back.
dude, we were drafting Cortland Sutton at like pick 32 a year ago, weren't we?
We were. They're both excellent clicks here, but given how you started the draft here, with all the receivers you already have, you need the right running back more, in my opinion.
Yeah, I always dream back to when I finished super high in this contest a couple of years ago. I drafted 6 receivers to start and didn't take another receiver, and it turned out they were all studs. Like I got lucky there, but um, yeah, I always want to replicate that. I think I hit on Kyron, obviously very key.
Kind of hoping Stribling could be a guy who is like a first year Puka Nakua, but it's just not even an accurate comp because the ADP has just gone up dramatically, you know?
Well, picture this, Chris. Week one, Stribling, 11 targets, 8 catches, a touchdown, 134 yards, and I'm still not going to play him in week two. It happened with Puka, dude. I missed out on first place in the mini max because I played like George Kittle or McBride over Puka, and Puka was the last game in my flex, and I just made a bad decision. Literally, I would have won first. Pain. Just if a guy gets 11 targets, like that's something that we can read into. You know,
Hmm.
3 catches for 112 yards is not that much, but 11 targets, yeah.
Yeah, earning targets definitely. I'm at least in the camp of I consider it to be a skill, or at least a sign of skill. Quarterback is not throwing the ball in your direction if he doesn't trust you. Um, when you're in the National Football League, you look at targets per route run on average. Like average across the league is going to be like 22% for wide receivers.
Okay.
So when you start looking at some like obviously small samples in preseason where they're only running like 10 some odd routes, so you can't really look at it until you have like all 3 games to look at or whatever, right? I'm not trying to get too into the weeds here, but when you see players earn targets consistently over that league wide average, to me that always says, okay, this is someone that quarterbacks trust. Like he clearly knows his role, knows the offense. He's just become a trusted commodity. Like that to me is always a sign they're playable in fantasy football, regardless of the type of fantasy football that you're playing.
Yeah.
It's always, exciting to have that $200 wide receiver in a showdown contest to randomly get the long touchdown catch, but those are going to be few and far between.
Yeah, when you guys, I will be back for the Sunday night streams for the primetime games on Sunday. I probably every single show last year, I talked down on those $200 guys that are going to play 4 snaps, and at least in half of the games, someone ended up doing it, catching a long touchdown or whatever it was. Just part of the game. We're not going to pick which $200 guy when there's 10 of them, but yeah, cheap guys are going to score fantasy points. Is the point, I guess. Mahomes keeps falling. These
I
are
mean,
good fantasy numbers.
yeah, if he's under center week 1, dude, like just seems like such an easy click, especially when you just remember where he's been drafted over the last few years. Like it's a bargain. Him, I know he's getting old, but Travis Kelce, like one last ride, one last crack at it. Can we see it? Can they do it? I wouldn't bet on it, but I wouldn't be shocked either.
There was a stat. It was either when NFL players get married or when they get engaged, their production goes way up. It's one of the two. So either Herbert or Kelsey is going to have a career year. Book it.
Yeah, Bo Nix throwing dots in the preseason to Jalen Waddle and RJ Harvey. That division's going to be tough, dude.
You said you brought up Waddle. I wanted to mention this earlier when you were talking about Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, what's his name? I want to
Pat
say
Bryant, yeah.
Pat Bryant. I was going to say Parker Bryant. I am not a guy who believes in injury prone. I hate it. I believe in injury luck, and I believe that Waddle is one of the most unlucky players when it comes to injury, which is another reason why we should be interested in a guy like Pat Bryant. Next, Jordan Love. Are you drafting much Jordan Love? Because I'm like getting no Green Bay. I took Watson here. It's barely have any Green Bay exposure.
Don't have as much Green Bay as I probably feel like I should have, especially when I started looking at like survivor pool stuff or just like weekly head to heads and how often like I think teams are going to win. Like Green Bay, I think is going to be a really really good team this year. Like maybe better than everyone is anticipating right now, and for that reason, especially when you look at how condensed the offense is now, I think we got some data from this week's preseason game. Like fairly reliably in 2 wide receiver sets, it's just Watson and Matthew Golden. It is much, much easier to kind of forecast where the football is going to go in this passing game than it has been in a lot of recent years in Green Bay. So I think we probably do want to try to get more of these Jordan Love stacks when we can, just for that reason. Christian Watson, Matthew Golden, Jaden Reed in the slot. Just seems like that's a pretty safe trio to bet on right now. To all 3 of them maybe see 100 plus targets this year.
Okay. Okay.
And again, that doesn't sound like a lot, right? But it's a lot as far as Green Bay is concerned because they've really spread the football around of late, and they're not in the same position.
Did you say Jordan Reed 100 targets also? Or
Jaden Reed.
Okay.
I may have said Jordan by mistake, but Jaden Reed.
I'm the one who's messing up names right now. It's for sure me. Debo, I don't know. We talked about him earlier. I'll probably still take Cyrus and still have 7 receivers, but I don't like anyone. I probably would have taken Isaiah Likely on the report that he's a target monster.
I mean,
Um,
you're telling me you don't feel as good about this team, but I'm looking at a Ramondre Stevenson, Tony Pollard, Jordan Mason running back room, and I'm like, sign me up, dude. These are my guys. Like, this is awesome.
yeah, you add Kenny Gainwell to this, and this is literally our top four guys in this range easily. The reports about okay, so Trevion's still going ahead of Ramondre. I feel like I've seen clips of Ramondre being much better, but I've heard things that maybe it'll be more of a true split this year. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, I don't get. Well, all right. Let me back up a little bit. I understand why everyone is high on Henderson. Like, he's an athletic freak. You get the ball in his hands, like he definitely can make guys miss. He's 100% a great offensive weapon. It seems like he still has issues with pass protection. And in a Josh McDaniels offense, with a young quarterback like Drake May, that they're so focused on making sure he has time to throw and to execute the read on offense. If that is going to keep Henderson off the field, and especially when we're talking about a guy who has looked competent in Stevenson. I know he's not like in that elite running back tier, and he's never going to be, but he's a solid NFL starting caliber player. And if he can block better, he's going to hold Henderson down. And it just doesn't make sense that he goes behind Henderson for that
Hmm.
reason. Now, I think most people would say, Henderson has the higher ceiling, and that is why the price is the way it is. I get the argument, but we're coming off of seeing best case scenario for this Patriots offense in 2025, and I don't see it being that much different in 2026, if that makes sense. Like, Stevenson did also get a decent contract. They're paying him $30 million over 4 years. Henderson's still on a rookie deal here. It just seems like for the best version of the Patriots and the way that they want to run their team right now, it's with Henderson in more of a I don't want to say backup role because that's not right, but in a more limited role, right?
Okay.
So going in the first 5 rounds feels really aggressive for him.
So the thing I noticed looking at Ramondre's game log last year, he did not have 10 rushes in every game. Like half the games, maybe he had 10 plus rushes. The one he had 25, he only put up 7 fantasy points. But like these scores are fine. He's getting targeted 4, 3, 4, 5 targets every game. That's super duper valuable, especially in full PPR on DraftKings. Like even if you take out this 38-point spike week, these are still good enough games. Like you gave me this production at pick 68 this year, minus the 38-point game. I'm pretty excited about it.
And I think they just flat out trust him, dude. Like AFC Championship, Henderson had 4 snaps last year. Like it just seems like when
Yeah.
it's important that they protect the football, Stevenson's the guy that's out there. And unless that changes, it's tough to see Henderson paying off his cost right now.
That's the biggest thing. Like you were talking about, listen to the front offices when they pay guys or when they spend a lot of draft capital on guys. The coach told us that Henderson is not the man. Like they told us, like that's more valuable than him just straight up saying it. They showed us, right? So, are you taking Henderson? Like, how much are you taking him compared to Ramondre? 4 to 1, 5 to 1?
I think I'm like 4 to 1, 4 to 1 Ramondre right now. I may have if I have more than 4% Henderson in my portfolio, I'd be shocked. I suppose I don't even have to speculate. I can tell you exactly where I'm at.
And
Give me
four to
one
one
second here.
is that's an extreme. Like I'm okay with it. I am too. But like fellas, that is an extreme like difference. Like I think we talked about Trey McBride versus Brock Bowers. I'm not even 4 to 1 on Trey McBride versus Brock Bowers, and that one is even more significant because of how early they go.
I can tell you that I have not yet drafted Travion Henderson this year at all.
You said it's infinite because it doesn't
Yeah, the
exist.
limit does not exist.
Okay. Okay. Are you gonna try to consciously add a couple shares now?
Yeah, having zero feels wrong,
I
but
agree. Yeah. Okay.
it's also consider what you have to give up around him, like where he goes. in that fifth
Yes.
round. Like there's
Yeah.
just so many good picks, especially at receiver. You're also in the kind of in that Jadarian Price neighborhood, and I think I really like him up there a lot more than I like Henderson. So
What is happening here?
you are up, is what is happening.
I took Jake Ferguson, get that Dallas stack. That's fine. I think I'm gonna do what I really like to do here. I'm gonna take Woody Marks. He looked really good in that preseason game.
Juwan Johnson is a guy that I think is very interesting as well. I know you already grabbed your tight end, but especially
Yeah.
without Shaheed in New Orleans anymore, he seems like he's really, really safe.
I was gonna take Johnson, but then I saw Brenton Strange calling my name a few picks down. I think you're pretty into him too. Just like I know I already have a tight end, but Brenton Strange feels like he really stands out going in this range, like going around past Chiga Conquo. I guess they're the same ADP. This guy just took him early. I mean, Jacksonville's a top 5 offense this year. I don't even think that's a hot take. Like if I said they were top 2, that might be a hot take.
Top 2 is definitely hot. Top 5 is probably still hot, but not like scorching hot. Because I can see it.
Yeah, Jacoby Lane 10 ahead of ADP after it's already moved up. I might have to take Cyrus Allen now if I want him. Where's the Mahomes guy? This guy has 3 quarterbacks.
We got a 100-yard pick six for a touchdown by the Rams defense here. They're just putting it to the Saints tonight.
Did you play DFS today?
Not well, apparently.
So what was it yesterday? My best lineup had 35 of the team's 42 points come from the defense and Casey Washington. Shout out Jetsty.
CJ Daniels has 8 receptions for 68 yards. Shades of Lance McCutcheon, if you will, from Rams preseasons past.
Is this someone we need to? Oh my gosh, no way. Cyrus
Wow.
Allen. Wow. Yeah, these rookies, man, they're going to keep moving up. Like this ADP we showed you earlier, it's kind of a lie because they're going ahead of it and their ADP is just going to move up every single day. So get your guys if that's who you want. Oh, I said I was.
To answer your question that you didn't finish, no, I don't think CJ Daniels is someone we need to draft, but I do think that Marshawn Lloyd is a fine click here. Don't mind that at all.
I said Brenton Strange, but I have Ferguson. I'm fine. They're the same player. I still am probably going to add another receiver since I took my 6 receiver a little bit later. We have 5 running backs. I'll see if I can get away with just one more quarterback, but I'm probably going to have to add 2. No, pretty easy draft. I have like no playoff correlation though. Have you been finding yourself getting lazy on playoff correlation as the off season goes on?
Yeah.
Same.
You know what it is, though? We're drafting, obviously, in the headliner $20 million millionaire contest here for the show, but I've found myself doing more of the smaller contests, and I don't know if I really want to be careful the way I say this. I care about it. I care about the playoff correlation, but I care more about just getting my stacks than I do about the bringbacks in like these smaller fields. Because when you're talking about like round 4, like finals rounds where you're going to have like 100 people or less in there, you don't have to do as much to differentiate. You just kind of focus on having quote unquote the best plays. So I guess just I've been getting lazy with it because it's not something I've been looking at as closely.
I need to double check too, because I'm glad you mentioned that. Like about the smaller finals fields, maybe the correlation isn't as significant. What do you think about focusing on week 16 a little bit more in those contests? Because some of them are 1 out of 12. I think there are a couple that are 2 out of 12 advance to the finals, some of the smaller contests, but 1 out of 12 sounds a lot harder than, finishing top 10 in a 100-person field. I mean, percentage-wise it is, but...
Yeah, I think it just be mindful of the structure of the contest you're in. I've always kind of, at least as long as you and I have been doing shows together, Chuck, been advocating for looking at 15, 16, and 17, trying to at least be aware of those matchups. But if 16 is quote unquote harder to advance in than it otherwise might be in a different type of contest, then yeah, we should be probably prioritizing that correlation more than 17 for that reason.
Yeah, I think I like that in general, really getting a week 16 down because it's valuable just to make the finals. Obviously we'd like a team that's competing. That's why we draft every team as if it's going to make the finals. But just making the finals, like that's solid. It's a solid season. Gives you a really, really fun. That week 17 sweat, man, is so fun when you have a finals team, especially if it's contending.
This feels so gross to be looking at preseason box scores right now.
Hey, man, this is what we do. We know things, and we spend time on preseason box scores.
Getting ready for some Gardner Minshew action here. Again, great radio for a show that's not going to be live when people watch it, but we're
Hey,
looking forward to Arizona Cardinals Dallas Cowboys game at 10 p.m. here on Saturday of preseason week 2.
Okay.
Seems to be the game of the night that everybody's playing players from. So while you're wrapping up your team here, I'm looking at how I'm going to allocate my lineups here on this preseason slate. One quarterback, one tight end on your roster that you've built out so far.
Typical.
Yeah, but like as we wrap up the show, like what are you looking at? What is standing out to you as your priority here to get those positions addressed?
I waited too long at quarterback again to get my second one. I'm probably going to take Cam Ward. At least I have Tony Pollard. I don't think I need to add like Calvin Ridley or Io Manor. And the tight, I mean, I might do 4 tight ends here since I might not take him till the last rounds. Gunnar Helm is not a bad stack option. I'm worried about the Titans though. Watching them, like I see good, and then I see not good, and I worry about the not good a lot more than I like the good.
Cam Ward is one of my 5 highest exposed quarterbacks this year. If that helps you feel a little better.
Oh, Cam Ward's still on the board. I really wanted to take Kate Otten though. Oh, never mind. Had the position. Sorry. It's been a long draft.
Drake May is my number 1. Obviously took him again tonight or on today's show. Josh Allen's my number 2. And don't worry, I'm not going to leave you out to dry here on this one. I've got Jacoby Brissett, number 3, 15%. Shadur Sanders, number 4, and Cam Ward, number 5. Both of those guys, 12% of my lineups.
That you mentioned your third highest quarterback is only 15%, I think is really good. Like that's the one position we want to be spread out at. I'm not. Most of my quarterbacks are under 10%, and then I have a few above 20.
My top 5 running backs for the curious that are still with us for today's show. Appreciate you guys watching. As always, please hit that like button and subscribe so you get notified when there's more best ball content on the channel here. Brian Robinson Jr., Zach Charbonnet, Tyrone Tracy, Kenny Gainwell, and Emmett Johnson are my 5 highest exposed running backs.
Similar. I don't have Emmett Johnson in there though. Did you say Jordan Mason? Mason's in my top 5 still.
So Jordan Mason is number 6 for me, right behind Emmett Johnson.
Nice.
And then at wide receiver, this is where things get real fun. Wan'Dale Robinson, number 1, 23%. Mike Evans, A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams, and Brian Thomas Jr.
I like Wandale. I didn't know that he was your top receiver though. I don't have that much at all. I still have a bunch of DK from the preseason. Disaster.
At tight end, I'm looking at Jake Ferguson, Trey McBride, Dalton Schultz, Hunter Henry, and Gunnar Helm. And so now you see why maybe Cam Ward has cracked my top 5. I've got some Titans at each of those positions. But I think that's probably a good way to kind of judge your portfolios as well. Is like if there's some correlation between your quarterbacks and your other highest exposed players, you're probably doing something right.
I mentioned the thing about I have a take on Tank Bigsby, so I'll take him 10 past ADP. I might do 7 running backs on this team.
I like it. Mixing it up. It's always good whenever show's a little different.
We'll do 3 more tight ends, 2 or 3. I think I want another quarterback, but I really don't want to click on anyone still available. Haynes King, is this guy getting drafted now after one preseason rush?
Please do not click on Haynes King. That is all I'm going to say about Haynes King.
He's going ahead of Penix. Flacco? Drew Aller? This kid might be good, man. I could see him being a. I'm not going to pick him in best ball, but would you be surprised if he started and put up fantasy points at some point?
Especially if they're out of it, right? Like if and I mean out of like the playoff race. I mean, are they going to just trot out 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers if they're like a 6-10 team? Like, no, they're not. So
Um, can you talk about something for a minute? I'll BRB.
as we look at the 15th, 16th round here, we see pick 170, TJ Hawkinson on the board. One of the things that I look at in this range, I mentioned that I like Dalton Schultz quite a bit, is like where you can potentially get double digit fantasy points on average. I think Schultz has the potential to give you 13 plus fantasy points per game on average as the number two weapon overall in Houston's offense behind Nico Collins. So those are the type of like high upside plays that I'm looking for if we're just eliminating things like just trying to hit home runs at running back if they find larger roles due to role changes throughout the season. Those are the kind of pass catchers that I'm looking at, guys that have a little bit more upside than their cost currently suggests. So looking at some of the receivers in this range, we've also got, I think Trey Harris with the Chargers is extremely interesting. Keenan Allen was on that roster in 2025. He will not be 2026. He signed with the Colts. So we're going to have Trey Harris, Lad McConkey, and Quentin Johnston start at receiver for Justin Herbert this year. And it's like a really, really clear year two breakout candidate for me in Trey Harris, going right around pick 175. Seems like a strong click as well if you need receiver. I only bring this up because I think we're in a position where the team Chuck is drafting here doesn't necessarily need pass catchers in this range, but you may find yourself in a position where you're down here and you are trying to click on a few guys. I believe earlier in the show today, we talked about Adonai Mitchell. We talked about Pat Bryant. We talked about Omar Cooper as guys that we like. Someone down here that I have not been clicking on, and it's not something we've discussed on today's show, but Isaac Tisla with Detroit. Seems like he's one of the guys down here that does need a role change to give you more production in that offense. I feel like Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Sam Laporta are pretty safely entrenched as like the top primary pass catching weapons in that offense. So I won't be clicking on Tesla as much as some of these other guys down here. Jerry Jeudy with Cleveland seems to be the forgotten guy behind the rookies that Chuck and I discussed in the first hour of the show, Casey Concepcion and Denzel Boston, but still think if he sees similar volume to last year per game, that he could give you like 10, 11 plus points here in PPR on average. And that is extremely attractive down here in the 16th, 17th round and later as well. Developing situation, speaking of late round pass catchers, Rashad Bateman has a developing legal issue with the Ravens, and that may actually make some of his rookie teammates in Elijah Surratt and Jacoby Lane, who Chuck and I discussed in the first hour of the show, a little bit more interesting this year as well.
Yeah, my camera broke, so we will be on this view for the last portion of this video. Thank you for entertaining the folks at home. Yeah.
Yeah, I just kind of was given a little bit of an overview of pass catchers because you and I are not necessarily going to, you're not necessarily going to be adding them here for the rest of the contest here with 6 really, really high upside pass catchers you've already selected, but just figured we'd discuss that a little bit more for the viewers and the listeners at home. We're going to have 2 more draft shows here. Should mention that we are absolutely honored to once again be partnered with DraftKings, by the way, to bring these shows to you here on the Occupy Fantasy channel. Love working with DraftKings to be a presenting sponsor of fantasy football content here every year on the channel, and no different here in August as we wrap up the football off season. I do think, obviously, I took Mike Washington earlier as well. In this range, like other than him, other than Emmett Johnson, like I do think it starts to get thin pretty quick. So I find myself grabbing, as much as I like waiting on running back, Chuck, I'm kind of grabbing my guys between like pick 100 and like 180, and I'm trying to be done by then because it definitely does get ugly fast.
That's one reason why I've been trying to focus on earlier running backs a little bit more because it's getting really boring having to pick between these guys every draft. I'll mention Brian Robinson Jr. is my highest drafted running back so far.
It's both of us.
It's like it's a different team, and we saw what Algier did last season. Why wouldn't Brian Robinson Jr. do the same? Not to mention, if something does happen to Bijan, then yeah, it's just the best pick in the draft. I'm not gonna get him this time, but I do want to get this rookie though.
Sadiq.
Yeah, Kenyon Sadiq as my second tight end, and then I feel like I probably need another receiver and a quarterback.
Yeah, this looks like the exact type of roster where you're going 3 or 4 tight ends.
Yeah. Like that I have Ferguson. I'm probably okay with two, but I would have liked to have a second decent tight end that's not Sadiq.
Mm-hmm.
I guess a known commodity, you know what I mean?
As much as we like the upside of Sadiq here, it does feel like someone we've overlooked discussing on today's show is AJ Barner, who's also still sitting there. Like if he has a larger role in Seattle than he did last year, he could be really interesting as well.
Yeah, and the same thing that I talked about with Rashid Shaheed and just that if the offense gets to actually pass the football past the first quarter, that could be pretty valuable. I'll go with Barner. So 3 more picks. Like Barner's a real tight end.
Yeah, gets a ton of playing time, gets opportunities in that offense. There's at least some rumblings that he may see a larger role as well, so checks all the boxes.
Yeah, we'll see. Odell Beckham Jr. pick 193. Okay. He's only 33. Interesting.
Chuck, we have some info for you because by the time the viewers see this show, they'll be able to laugh at us after he scores 3.7 fantasy points. But it looks like Sean Clifford is going to get 4 quarters of work for the Bengals at quarterback tonight.
Sean Clifford. Nice. It's a good edge.
Yeah.
I was going to say someone else is playing for them, Eric All.
Yes, so the tight end, and I've been taking a lot of Gesicki late in these fantasy drafts, Chuck. But if All actually is the guy there, I mean, they basically have the same ADP, I guess. But I mean, you didn't end up with Burrow on this team, but again, mentioned this in the first hour of the show when I took Drake May. I love taking picks late that correlate with my stud quarterbacks. So if we think Eric All has any chance to be productive this year and you're drafting Joe Burrow in your contest, you should absolutely add him into your player pool late.
Well, I was talking about how the Rams are in a lot of 3 tight end sets, so I'm okay taking them, even though there's 3 that are probably fantasy relevant. I don't even like I know Endries because we played him in DFS last week, but they have 5 tight ends that are capable, right?
Yeah, they're all going to play. Like Drew Sample's more of a blocker. Tanner Hudson is more of a preseason goat. But
Okay.
all those guys are going to definitely see some playing time in the regular season, except
Okay.
for Endries. I don't really know much about him.
Yeah, it's like there's been no ADP movement on these guys at all. I don't even think there's a third Bengal receiver getting drafted. Like no
Yosevich,
Shabazz.
yeah.
Yeah, he's going 228. Tinsley, I didn't even know Tinsley was on this team. I don't know who this is. Couple of rookies, it looks like.
Colby Young is the draft pick from this past spring. Yeah, look, man, it's Chase and Higgins or bust. It always has been, right?
Yeah. Yep. And we got Higgins at pick 45.
Suppose the only rookie we haven't discussed on today's show. Actually, there's a couple of them we haven't discussed just yet, but they're both flashing on your board a little bit. Jeremy Bernard with Pittsburgh, Ted Hurst with Tampa Bay. You have any thoughts on these guys?
Well, I was told Jeremy Bernard was supposed to go off in the preseason game yesterday. If you remember, then you know because our plug liked him, and he was on the field. He didn't do much. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I'll take some shots, I guess, on him. And then Ted Hurst, I've clicked on a couple times too. They're just dart throws to me. Like if I need a dart throw receiver, then yeah, they're fine.
Yeah, on
Antonio Williams
Bernard,
too.
just for the regular season role, I think the expectation is he's the third receiver.
Okay.
like behind Metcalf and Pittman. So in 11 personnel, he should see a decent amount of work with Aaron Rodgers. Ted Hurst here in Tampa Bay. It just seems like, look, if this Egbuka injury situation lingers into the regular season, then maybe Hurst actually does have a day one role. But that aside, if Egbuka's good to go, it seems like it's Egbuka, Godwin, or bust right now. So
Hmm.
that's where we're at there.
I want to mention Pat Fryermuth, just since you were talking about Philadelphia or Pittsburgh pass catchers. This is a decent tight end to take shots on. Like, I mean, one spike game, but he's shown that he is capable of it. He had a 68-yard
Definitely,
touchdown.
definitely was a showdown week. Had to have been, right.
It 100% was because I told everyone to play the guy that scored zero. I don't even, you know who I'm talking about, the tight end that busted.
Washington, Darnell Washington.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, again, it's going to happen, but at least here, when we say things like that, we won't know for 4 months. Yeah, Gunnar Helm got drafted one before me. All right.
Colby Parkinson was the one you said you liked earlier in today's show, so I like that for you.
Yeah, that works out. Bateman has been a receiver I've been adding late, but he might have just gotten in some legal trouble, so I can't click on him at all anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things I was just talking about before you came back from technical difficulty was that how I think that situation is going to be a bounty for Surratt and Lane, the rookies.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, and Surratt was the guy I was looking at before I got turned on to Jacoby Lane. Just something about the routes they'll be running. I can't even remember it now, but it's either one of them runs Zay Flowers routes and the other one doesn't. And obviously, don't draft the one that runs Zay Flowers routes. Do you know which one is which? It's probably Surratt, the one we don't want to draft now.
well, Surratt may be playing his way into a larger role though without Bateman because I think the bull case on
Okay.
Lane is independent of Bateman, right?
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay.
that's
Okay.
kind of how I'm looking at it currently.
It's like Bateman said something like they're setting him up to do things that he hasn't been able to do in his career, like positions on the field, routes run, whatever. And so I was really excited about that because Bateman's a guy that kind of tricks us every season.
Well, we shall see what materializes there.
That would have been a nice last round pick. Any love for Jordan Watkins in full season?
I'm just going to say no.
Okay,
I don't have a strong thought on him whatsoever. So maybe
very
that
fair.
is all you need to know, I guess, but have not thought of him at all.
Who are my quarterbacks?
Dak and Cam.
Dak and Cam Ward. Is that enough, dude? Can I stop at two?
I mean, I don't know if you have much of an option.
We're gonna take Jake Tonges. I don't know. We're just out here clicking buttons. We're having fun. We're talking about football. This isn't a bad team, but this isn't my favorite.
To your point at the beginning of your draft, when you get so heavily invested at receiver early, I
Hmm.
like that you're just kind of taking shots late on everything else.
Oh
Like
yeah.
this is definitely not something I typically do. I think I still go with at least 8 receivers, but I definitely see the merit of increasing your chances of landing on something excellent at running back or tight end because you've obviously naturally not reached for an elite player at either of those positions.
I mean, in my mind, the ideal roster build is loading up on receivers early with one early running back, continuing to draft receivers in the middle rounds. We can start adding running backs around Ramondre Stevenson, maybe around later, and then quarterbacks like this range, like Trevor Lawrence at 94, Justin Herbert at 89 versus Drake May 72, Joe Burrow 68. Like Lawrence and Herbert just feel like such better values, and then that grows as you go down the board to these other quarterbacks. Brock Purdy at 110, Tyler Shuck at 119. Like I just think the
Yeah.
value in the difference in the receiver at 67 versus 114 is a lot bigger than the difference in quarterback from 68 to even 102. And so, and then after that, just fill in, yeah, your zero RB targets, maybe a tight end. Take tight ends in the last rounds. It's the best rounds to take tight. Like that's the best position to take in the last rounds is tight ends. And then I think we had a discussion with Brian about running back or receiver in late round. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I think it definitely depends on what you kind of need on your roster, but I feel like the running back is not going to be the quote unquote correct pick late as often as the wide receiver will be, but that's because just in general, you're going to see 3, 4 wide receivers get like 50% of routes or more on each team. Running back's kind of a onesie position as far as like real life football is concerned. So the running back hits down here are going to be fewer than the wide receiver hits, but hopefully you are going to find like a Kyron Williams, who's just a complete home run hit late down here. So you're never going to know necessarily who that is, but I just think in the last round, if you land on the right running back, that's going to add so much more to your roster than just like 6 points per week on average from like a Keon Coleman, right? Like I don't know. So that's how I look at it.
And to tie that into ADP value, the theme of the show, let's say a guy emerges in training camp or someone gets hurt and we're interested in a player who's going to rise in ADP. Like you can kind of ignore it once you're past round 15. If they're a last round pick right now and you know they're going to rise in ADP until the season starts, just take them. Like ADP kind of doesn't really matter anymore after round 15.
And I think that's a good note to wrap things up on for today's show, because on our next show, we're going to dedicate a heavy part of the discussion to late round sleepers. So, Chuck, you and I will make more time to kind of dive into this specific topic on that show and get into the differences between late running backs and receivers. And maybe we'll find some time to talk tight end as well. What are you looking to do to finalize your team here?
I typically don't have to take a receiver in the last round, so I'm kind of lost here. Eidenrich? I thought that was a running back. Kanata Mumpfield, Troy Franklin, Jordan Watkins,
DeAndre Hopkins isn't even in the NFL.
Christian Kirk.
I like Christian Kirk in San Francisco.
How hurt is
Hollywood Brown for me. That would be what I would do. You're out of time though, so it's going to be Kirk.
Oh, I tried to click on Hollywood. I didn't know Kirk was going to probably start on injured reserve. That's tough. Well, we did it, Chris. We drafted a couple teams, got through some ADP values. Hope it's valuable for you guys at home. We will be back, like Chris mentioned, a couple more videos before the season starts. And yeah, we'll get into it. Any last words, Chris?
Chuck, always a pleasure to get on here and do a couple drafts with you for the people. Thanks to our sponsors at DraftKings. And guys, we'll see you in a couple days for another show.